Welcome to the Burn Bootcamp Podcast. I'm your host, Morgan Klein, co-founder and CEO, along with my husband and company visionary, Devin Klein.
And together, with our amazing team, we are going to help you push past your limits, not just physically in our gyms, but right here, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually on the Burn Bootcamp Podcast.
Together, we will take on challenges and break through barriers to transform into the best possible version of ourselves. We are more than a gym. We are a community. Your community. Let's go, Burn Nation.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Burn Bootcamp Podcast. This is episode 515, and this is Ask Devan Anything. Each week, if you've been around for a while, then you know the routine. Each week has a theme. This week is psychology, how you think. Trisha and I sat here just a few days ago, episode 514, and we broke down championship culture. And I really encourage you guys to listen to that because it goes really deep on what it takes to have a standard of excellence and accountability and have a standard of constant and never-ending improvement for, most importantly, yourself, but also your family, your business, and anything that you are the leader of. And, you know, today I wanted, as always, in Ask Devan Anything, I wanted to talk right to your soul. You and I, one-on-one, here in the podcast. And I wanted to answer a question that came in from Westmont, Illinois. Shout out to our franchise partner, Robin Darren. This question comes from one of your members. Her name is Tanya. And she asked a very relevant question for this week. It's a very high-level, broad question. But as I talked about in 514, it's the simple questions that are the answer. Because the simple questions usually are the ones that have a very simple answer. And the simple answers are the ones that we often shy away from because we might have a fear of them for whatever reason. The question is this: how do you become the person that you want to be? Have you ever thought about that? Like, have you ever sat back and thought about, who do I really want to be? And who am I right now? And how do I get there? What's the difference? What's the gap? What's the steps? I know you all have a vision or some type of goal or some type of notion of what you want to be in the future, but I wanted to give you a real brain-backed methodology. Okay, when I say brain-backed, what I mean is based on neuroscience, based on psychology. And this is like a literal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-step process for you to become the person that you really want to be. If you have ever read my book, Stop Starting Over, then you know that pretty much the entire book is about this 5-step process. But I'm going to bring that to you here today on this episode 515, nice and short, nice and quick, concise, so that you can really understand it and take it away. So there's 5 steps to this brain-backed identity shift that we want to talk about. That's what you're really asking. How do I get from where I am to where I want to be? Means how do I become a different person? Each year we become a different person. Every moment we become a different person. And there is a real science, okay? I'm not going to go into all the nerdy words and try to, flex my knowledge on you because that does nothing for you, but I really want you to understand it. So I might use a couple terms just so you understand that this is not just an opinion of a man on a podcast. This is actually how you shift your identity and become the person you want to be, steps 1 through 5. And I've shortened it so it makes sense, so it's punchy, taking the complex nature of what I'm about to talk about and making it conceptual so it's simple to understand. Number 1, visualize it. I'll go into this in depth. Number 2, prove it. Number 3, surround it. Number 4, speak it. And number 5, and most importantly, feel it. All right, I'm going to dive into each one of these, okay? Each one of these are going to be a step for you in order for you to get to where you want to go, okay? If you've read Stop Starting Over, step number 1, then visualize it. I wrote about defining your North Star. What does this mean, your North Star? Very simple. You have to define your future self, where you want to be, with absolute precision. Most people just have some type of goal in the future, maybe some vague goal. It might be to do better. Okay, if your goal is to do better, or your goal is to make more money, here's the dollar, have fun. You will get what you ask for with precision. And so in Stop Starting Over, I wrote about the North Star, how to define this. There's an exercise. We're going to do it quickly here called the Perfect Day Exercise. I want you to close your eyes. The reality is you're going to take this exercise, you're going to expand it out, and you're going to write it out into a story because you have to have precision. But the perfect day exercise, if you were to close your eyes and you were to visualize, all right, if I had to live in 20 years from today, if I had to live one day over and over and over and over, I had to repeat this one day. Like I got up and I had to do the same exact thing every day. The nature of having to do the same thing will squeeze you into only doing the things that give you the most energy. Now, once you've kind of got this notion, now we want to add color to it. We want to add dimension, context, use your emotions and your senses. What do you see on this day? What do you do? What do you feel? Who are you with? What are you doing? What are you wearing? Where are you at in the world? The who, what, when, where, why. This is the precision part. And so many of us don't define, like right now I could ask everyone that's listening, there's thousands and thousands of you listening to this podcast, I could ask you all in a room together to show me a piece of paper that has your North Star defined on it, to show me a piece of paper that has your perfect day. Almost none of you could do it unless you've heard me talk about this before. Go ahead. I'll wait. Because I do stand in front of crowds and I do ask this question, and always less than 1% of the crowd actually raises their hand and says, DK, I can show you this piece of paper. I got receipts, all right? But I want you to write this down. Mine is right next to my bed. It's in my drawer. It's 3 pages. I rewrite it almost every single year. I haven't had to rewrite it in the last couple years because I've dialed it in. But this is the North Star for you. This is your perfect day, a day that you would be willing to repeat over and over and over and over and over. Okay? Now, this activates what's called the DMN in your brain, the default mode network. This is like your brain on autopilot. When you are thinking about what you have to do tomorrow or what happened yesterday, and you're just kind of zoning out or daydreaming, this default mode network is different regions of your brain that are connected that kind of go on in the background. It's like a screenwriter, right? In the background, it's behind the scenes, and it's constantly writing this narrative of your own identity. And here's the trick. If you don't give it a future state narrative, then it's just going to play old tapes. It's going to continue to write the old scripts over and over and over and over. How many of us can feel this? How many of us out there don't have some compelling vision of the future? You don't have some narrative, right? I use the word narrative intentionally because you have to write a narrative. It has to have color context to it. If you don't write it down, guess what? Your default mode network is going to replay old tapes. You have this other part of your prefrontal cortex, the executive office of your brain, and it has this little mechanism called the reticular activating system, RAS. Okay, very complex system. But you'll know because if you drive a car, you notice all the other cars that look just like yours. Their RAS will pick up the shoes that you just put on your feet today that you just got that are brand new that you're excited about. It's going to pick up everybody else that has those shoes. Why? Because it will become like a heat-sinking radar. Whatever's important to you, you will start to notice. So between the default mode network, okay, this narrative that you're giving yourself, this fresh narrative that you need to, again, we're just talking about step 1, visualize it, right? We're going to get into how to really pound this home as we go through this, but you have to have the default mode network working in the background, and then your reticular activating system, that radar, is going to start to pick up things that are important to you subconsciously. You're not going to have to think about it. Okay? Step 2, prove it. Okay? Prove it to yourself. Okay? You can visualize something all day long, and unless you start to prove it and reinforce it, it's not going to matter. You can't reach this North Star, this perfect day, all in like one fell swoop. That's just the visualization. All right? Step 2 is install new habits. You have to install new habits. I want you to pick, this one's very easy, very simple. Pick 3 things. Pick 3 things out of this whole, that's why the whole story is so important. Pick 3 things out of your narrative. You're going to use these things to create what I call the cycle of momentum. whole chapter and stop starting over. The cycle of momentum happens for you or against you. Okay, you can have negative momentum, you can have positive momentum. The way it works is very, very simple. When I have something that I believe, step number one, if I believe it, I'm way more likely to take action on it. When I take action on it, I'm way more likely to get results from it. When I get results from it, I'm way more likely to reinforce the belief that I had, and this cycle keeps going over and over and over. Now, think about it this way. If I'm somebody who says, you know what, fitness, health, this thing isn't going to work. I don't really believe it. Yeah, I'll drag my butt to a camp. Maybe I'll eat an apple or two. But the only reason I'm doing that is to reinforce, I'm taking that action that I know is not going to work because I don't believe it in the first place. I'm using that action to reinforce, I told you so. I told you that wasn't going to work. So you can have a cycle of momentum in a negative way or a positive way. And if your life isn't going how you want it to go, then my bet is that the cycle of momentum is working for you in a negative way. That your belief system's one of the three things you can control: your attitude, your effort, and your belief. Your belief systems, and there's thousands of them, are going to be the prerequisite to any action that you take. So if I believe it, hey, if I go to the gym, man, I'm going to step in this one day and I'm going to start to create momentum for my life. Then you go in the gym, you create a little bit of momentum. You say, wow, I feel good. I'm going to go back. I'm going to do that again. If I keep doing this, then I'm going to be somebody who is a gym person. I'm not going to be somebody who just says I'm not a fitness person. I'm going to start to be. And you actually begin to believe these things. So you want to install 3 new habits. That's your goal. Okay? Visualize it. Step number 1. Define your North Star. Write out your perfect day. What's that story? What's that narrative? Feed it to your brain mechanisms so that you actually have the screenwriter in the background working for you. Install new habits as step number 2. Pick out 3 things. Realize that the cycle of momentum works for you or against you. I talked about, it was maybe a handful of episodes ago. Maybe, Chelsea, you can remind me exactly how long ago it was. But I talked about this metaphor that went over really well. I had a bunch of people DM me on it, of the oak tree. And of planting the seed. And if you plant the seed and you water the seed over time, these beliefs get so thick like an oak tree, they're very, very hard to tear down, okay? And that's exactly what step number 2 is. Installing new habits is like planting new seeds, watering those new seeds by doing things every day. Okay, step number 3 of number 5. We talked about visualize it. We talked about prove it. Now what we're going to do is surround it. This one has to do with your environment. All right, create an environment that is aligned. Okay, step 3, create an environment that is aligned. The first thing you have to do, and I had to do this when I started cleaning up my nutrition. I was somebody that was like, hey, I'm no longer going to eat sugar. I'm not asking you to do that. It was an extreme thing to say I'm never going to have. I don't usually preach that to many people, to say never. But I was so fed up personally with the way that I was just in this negative cycle of momentum with my food. I was like, I'm not eating sugar anymore. I just don't want to have it. And so step number 3 is what really helped me get rid of sugar out of my diet. And then that was the precursor to me losing over 40 pounds in a year. And when that 40 pounds crept up on me too, it wasn't like I was sitting there eating a whole bag of Skittles or, Hershey Kisses every night. It was just a slow broil, a slow burn, okay? And it just kept going and compounding and stacking. And I just ended up, being 40 pounds overweight. Like, what the heck? This isn't who I am. I got to change it. So I audited my environment. I got rid of everything in my house that was tempting. It's a very simple one on step number 3. You got to surround yourself. Okay, surround yourself with, here's the key, things that don't force you to use willpower. Because willpower is very fleeting. Willpower is like a gas tank. You only have so much willpower. You can only fight it off for so long and stop starting over. I wrote about the brownie table. If you locked yourself in a room with 4 padded walls and you walked around a table for 24 hours without any other food with brownies on it and you were addicted to brownies, watch how long your willpower lasts. Hour 14, you're about to cave in and you're going to smash that whole pan of brownies and you're not going to feel bad about it until 10 minutes later when you feel like crap. Because willpower is a muscle and it will get fatigued. It is a gas tank, and it will run out of gas. So you got to audit your environment, actually remove the temptation. Not only remove the temptation in your house, but here's an example. How many of you out there have a routine when you drive home from wherever you're driving home from, and you go by that one spot? Maybe it's a fast food place. Maybe it's a gas station. Maybe it's, you know what I'm talking about. You drive by it and you whip the wheel, hit a right into that spot every other day, and you don't want to, but it's this impulse thing. You're just used to it. You're used to going to Chick-fil-A, and you're used to getting that milkshake, and you just hit the right and you go there even when you weren't thinking about it prior to. Why? Because that's your environment. Okay? You are putting yourself in a position to have to use willpower. Take a different way home. Remove the temptation. The wrong environment will reinforce having to use willpower. And so I removed all sugar from my house, literally all sugar from my house. I do not have it. It doesn't exist at all. And I'm doing really great. It was one of the key elements for me to just get it out. I was eating my kids' food late at night, and what I did is I removed all the sugar from their diet. They no longer eat added sugar either, which is a great thing for myself and my family. I'm the leader of the family. My nutritional choices have a cascading effect on my family. They see dad doing it. Guess what? They think it's okay to do. Anything I'm doing, they're going to think it's okay to do. So if you want to create health in your family, maybe there's another reason that you might want to clean up sugar. Maybe there's another reason that you might want to clean up alcohol. Maybe there's another reason that you want to go to the gym every day because you got little ones watching you at home. There's nothing more powerful than that sense of gain or loss of love, okay? So surround it. This is your environment. Get your environment right. Step number 4. This is where self-accountability comes in. This is the hardest part. Step number 4. You have to actually speak it out. Okay, language, pattern interruption. Okay, so step number 4 is called pattern interruption. There's this thing in psychology called the behavior loop. The behavior loop is like an environmental cue, then a routine that's associated with that cue, and then a reward that comes from the cue. So the cue is you use your sight, okay, or your senses. You pick up on a cue because you smell it. You walk through Whole Foods and you usually walk by the donut section and you smell it and you always get one while you're shopping. Trust me, I know who you are. I used to be that type of person that would do that every single time. And then you have that routine. I just get it and I eat the 2 donuts and I go shopping while I'm eating the donuts. And I get that reward because it feels really good to have that quick, cheap, we call it the cheap version of dopamine. So that's what your behavioral loop is, the cue, the routine, and the reward. You have to change this pattern. You've got to change the behavioral loop, okay? Because the cue is some type of sense. The routine is a neural network. We've talked about on the podcast before this property of your brain called neuroplasticity. All that means is a fancy way to say that you can rewire your brain. You can become a different person with a different identity, with a different personality. You are not stuck being the version of yourself that you do not like. And even if you don't, like most of us are pretty generally happy with ourselves in most areas of life, but we always have at least one area that we want to work on. We don't like our identity. We don't like our personality when it comes to that one particular thing. Your mind, your body, your emotion, your spirit, your relationships, your time, your work, your money, whatever it might be. You don't like something about yourself in that regard. You got to change the routine. The only way to change the routine is to understand this behavioral loop, pattern interruptions. You have to interrupt with intention old loops. The number one way to do this, the number one way is through your language. Okay, your language matters. There's 2 types of language. There's the language of losers. Okay, and I say that intentionally because people who are losing at life, they use negative language patterns. 99% of people that are not doing what they want to do in life are pessimists. Okay, they're always looking at what's wrong. They have a fixed mindset. They're not looking toward what's what's going to help them grow, what's going to help them achieve. What they're looking at is all the things that in their life that they're going to attract to themselves that they're going to reinforce the negative belief or the negative language patterns that they have. I can't stop eating sugar. That's a negative language pattern because it's not true. There's no truth in that. If you were using the words of winners, you'd say something like this: I haven't stopped eating sugar yet. Why? Because there's hope in that response. Do you see the difference? I can't versus I haven't yet. I can't is boxing you in. You're imprisoned. This belief system is not going to serve you. I can't? What kind of, step back and think about that. What kind of statement is that? You can't stop eating sugar. How much credit are you giving yourself? I can't is not a lot of credit when you are somebody who is a human being that bleeds the same blood as everybody else, when there's millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of examples of people far less capable than you that have. And the reason that you can't is because you don't think you can. Because that belief, I can't, reinforces the action of you half-ass trying. And when you half-ass try, you get half-ass results. When you get half-ass results, you get to raise your hand and say, I told you I can't. And then you get to fulfill your ego. I haven't yet. That's a subtle, this is why it's so hard, y'all. That's a subtle pattern, but it is interrupting that I can't stop eating when I haven't yet, okay? You're interrupting old loops. You can do this mostly through language. Here's one other subtlety on the language, step number 4, pattern interruption. If you want to feel great, who wants to feel great? Raise your hand. Give me 2 claps if you want to feel great, if you want to feel happy, if you want to feel secure, if you want to feel certain, if you want to contribute, if you want to grow in your life. Most everybody wants this, right? Most everybody wants to succeed at what they envision themselves succeeding at. How often do we speak into existence that we just can't do it? How often do we speak into existence that I'm not the type of person? How many of you desire to get healthy and fit? And then how many times have you heard somebody else say, or it's yourself or somebody else say, I'm just not a fitness person? Stop boxing yourself in. Stop defining yourself in a negative way. Pattern interruption is where it's at. You have to speak it. Tell yourself a new story. Okay, in psychology, we call it the narrative psychology. What story are you telling yourself? Tony Robbins taught me the following, that whatever story you're telling yourself creates your state. That most people are suffering by choice. Those who are miserable because their story is miserable. They're choosing, by the way, choosing a North Star, choosing a compass needle pointing whatever direction you want it to point based on your story. Because when you have a great story, then and only then can you have a great state, an emotional well-being, a mental well-being. If your story is negative, if your story is reinforcing what you don't want, if your story is reinforcing mild depression, if it's reinforcing severe depression, then you're going to continue that loop. Because whatever you believe, you will do. Whatever you do will reinforce. Whatever you reinforce, you'll re-believe. Make sense? Say yes. Okay, we're going to go to the very last one. This one is feel it. Feel it, okay? Step 5 is all about rewarding progress. Not just rewarding progress, but deeply feeling the story. Taking this narrative psychology, okay? Taking it and driving it deep into your body, into your central nervous system. How do you know that you're taking a story that you're telling yourself and driving it deep into your body? Emotion. This is going back, and this is a loop. Going back into step number 1, define your North Star. This is really where you start to feel, you start to project how you're going to feel in step number 1. And in step number 5, you actually start feeling it. You're going to start to reward your progress. I call it the daily win at Burn Bootcamp. 5 small wins at Burn. We're not going to go into that on this podcast. That's for a different day, a different topic. But the daily win for you, the daily W, I want you to start thinking about consciously every day. What is 1 to 3 things that you've done right today? Where's your cell phone? Pick it up. Look at it. Go into your email. How many problems are in there right now for you? How many? How many problems can make you feel negative, can start to shape that story for you? Do you actually pick up your phone and say, hey, I have so many problems. People don't leave me alone at work. The teachers are always emailing me about Sarah and Tim and how bad they are at school. They're always on me. Why are they always on me? Why are they always picking on me? Or do you have the belief system, I'm so grateful that I have this cell phone that at any time I can pick it up and I can solve the world's problems for people and I can make their lives better? Do you have a growth mindset like the latter argument or a fixed mindset like the former? Okay, this really matters. The state matters. And then once you have the story matters. Once you have the story, you can start to shape the state by reinforcing a positive narrative. 3 things that you did right today, start to write those out. Get in the habit of writing those things out. Go ahead and do it right now if you're not driving. Or if you are driving, just think about what's one thing, if you could be grateful for one thing. I know most of you say, I don't know what I could be grateful for. But if you could be grateful for one thing, what might that one thing be? If you could pick out a W for today so far, what might that W be? And write it down, because there's something about writing it down that makes it permanent, that actually makes it real. Writing it down makes it real. So feel it, reinforce it. When you write it down and you give yourself gratitude, guess what? You're not getting that instant satisfaction, that cheap hit of dopamine. What you're actually getting is that delayed gratification. Okay? It's a micro delayed gratification, but you're getting that hit of dopamine, and it's not the cheap kind. It's the kind that you earned, the kind that you worked for, because you actually thought about what you were grateful for. You thought about your W, and most oftentimes the wins that we have are they're not short term. They're long term. Okay, they're things that aren't going to give you instant gratification. It's in psychology. You've heard it before. It's called delayed gratification. You're going to do something this morning that you might not have get that reward for until later this afternoon. You might have picked up the book and you might have, sacrificed your scrolling time on Instagram to read a book about psychology or about nutrition or about fitness. And it actually took you 6 hours before you were able to apply that when you gave up that instant hit of dopamine in the morning scrolling TikTok. Okay, learning nothing. So do you see what I'm saying here? There's actually a brain-backed identity shift. Number 1, you visualize it. Number 2, you prove it. Number 3, you surround yourself with it. Number 4, you speak it. Number 5, you feel it. This is the answer to Tanya's question, how do you become the person that you want to be? It's not by happenstance, I'll tell you that. It's not because you hope in one hand, okay? One of my baseball coaches used to tell me this. Hope in one hand and shit in the other and see which one fills up first. Okay, that's a real thing, because you can't just hope and hope and hope and wish and hope and wish. Those are very bad strategies. What we've got to do is we've got to follow this 5-step process, identify the person you want to be, visualize it, prove it, surround it, speak it, feel it. Make sense? Say yes? All right, everybody. I know so many of you are listening on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for being here. It's where most of our downloads come from. But what I want to do is let you know that we are now on YouTube. You can now tune in. You can watch the podcast live. And there's something about seeing the conviction that I have when I'm teaching you things. There's something about the body language, the pauses. There's something about just the me leaning in, moving this little microphone. And if it's me and you here one-on-one, put me up on your TV. Put me on your iPad. Put me on your iPhone, and let's have this one-on-one conversation. I know there's one on many, but I'm making these episodes as if it's just me and you sitting in your living room, going through the principles of fitness, nutrition, psychology, the intersection of those three things, and how to change your life from the inside out. All right, go to YouTube, subscribe to YouTube, make a comment there, and let me know you're here. I appreciate it, you guys. We're in this thing like we always do. 2 claps on 2. 1, 2.